Live from PIX Plaza on 42nd Street, it's the PIX 11 Morning News.
And President Donald Trump signing dozens of executive orders shortly after being sworn into office, many of them setting the tone for his immigration policies for the next 4 years.
President Trump's orders look to end birthright citizenship and also target undocumented immigrants. Sanctuary cities like New York on high alert, and so are immigration advocates and attorneys like our next guest, Veronica Cardenas. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
So let's talk about this executive order. First, ending birthright citizenship, right? Because this is a big one, and it can really affect millions of people living across this tri-state. So what exactly does that mean, and who does it target?
Thank you so much for having me today. As someone who has worked under the as someone who's worked as an assistant chief counsel under 3 administrations, including the Trump administration, and someone who is also the daughter of immigrants, this is something that I can bring a unique perspective to. Birthright citizenship is something that is in the Constitution, and what Trump is trying to do by executive order is to essentially go past Congress to change who can become a citizen in the U.S. and targeting specifically children of non-citizens.
So President Trump, though, also vowed, he said, I'm going to be taking over with mass deportations, including in places that are sanctuary cities, like here in New York. So these undocumented immigrants that are here are very afraid. I mean, what can they do, if anything?
Yes, and I think that that is the theme, this administration in the past, really playing on that fear. And what non-citizens can do is become informed of their rights. They do have rights under the Constitution. If there are worksite enforcement raids, they have the right to remain silent. And also to understand the type of documentation that they carry, because anytime ICE is going into a place of employment, they're looking to check for identity, and they're also looking to check if that person has a legal right to work in the U.S. And so anytime a non-citizen hands over a passport from a foreign country or an identification from a foreign country, that's already giving ICE what they need to arrest that person, to detain them, to see if they're actually in this country legally.
Can employers do anything, I guess, for a raid that could be coming, right? I was listening to something yesterday, a woman who was talking about how her husband is an undocumented worker and he works at a construction site. And she said those are the first that are going to be targeted because a lot of undocumented workers work at construction sites. So can an employer do anything to say, no, you can't come in right now? Yeah,
and that's really going to depend on whether that space where they're working is a private place or a public place. So if it is a private place and not everyone can go in, then the ICE has to show a warrant to go inside that location. And so employers should be making sure that they're checking the warrant to make sure it's signed by the appropriate judge so that it gives them access to go into those locations. And employers don't usually get a heads up on when they're coming, so it's...
Can you lay it all out then for some immigrant families? Like what should they be doing right now to prepare for these potential sweeps?
I think the most important thing is to have documents accessible, give them over to someone who you trust, or have a contingency plan. So the first thing, if people are already having like an asylum case or in immigration, they will have a 9-digit number that begins with the letter A. They should hand that number over and have it in a safe place so that if they do get detained, immigration lawyers or the family can look for them, because once a person gets detained, they're out of pocket for like 1 to 3 days. It'll be very difficult to find them without that number.
Well, what do you tell folks that have children? I mean, I'm sure a lot of folks are afraid to send their kids to school right now if they are undocumented.
Yeah, and I think that as of right now, I know Trump has said they want to go into schools, into churches. As of right now, those are safe places. And so I think that, yes, we live in this environment where there is this fear, but also understanding our rights and having those documents in place.
So we were talking about executive orders and what exactly it looks like and what exactly they have the power to do because of some of them. On the birthright citizenship, right? You're talking about children who are born here and become citizens automatically because they're here. For the folks who already have that, are they protected, right? Or is this just for future cases?
I think right now what he's trying to target is the people who are going to be born, women who are pregnant and who are going to give birth.
It's not folks who already have
Yes, not yet, but I think that this is really setting a dangerous precedent because it has the ability to extend.
And birthright citizenship is something that can be challenged in court, that one in particular, because the executive order, again, like I said, it's something that you can lay out, but we were talking to some folks earlier about how they can challenge it within courts, and that is a big one. So what does that look like in terms of challenging it?
Right, so the executive order challenging that is essentially challenging whether the president has the authority to bypass Congress. And so the ACLU and other immigrant rights organizations are challenging which avenue does the president have to go.
Yeah, I mean, you started an organization called Humanigration. Can you tell us exactly what that is?
Yes, so Humanigration was started during my time when I was with immigration, when I was with ICE, and seeing how people, even when they had attorneys, weren't really prepared for the immigration system because it is very complex. And so it is an organizational organization where I teach new lawyers who are thinking about making the change to immigration, and I also teach non-citizens going through the process. We have a lot of outreach. On Thursday, I'll be with a panel talking about what rights people have in Newark, New Jersey, and a lot of outreach.
You know, we hear the term sanctuary city, and the mayor has been questioned about this a number of times. Like, can sanctuary cities protect folks? And he said the law is the law, kind of left it at that.
Right.
But can they bypass a sanctuary city?
So I think that, and Holman spoke a little bit about this in an interview, sanctuary cities can have certain protections for non-citizens, but what they can't do is interfere. And so we can hold ICE to their burdens and not give them more. So if someone is detained right now or arrested for a crime at a state level, at a city level, the government here does not have to turn them over to ICE,
the collaboration with local authorities.
But they can't stop ICE from going into a public place, like a train station, on the public street, to arrest non-citizens.
I see. Well, Veronica Cardenas, thank you so much for laying that all out for us. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much.